Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Why do growing businesses love working in Slack? Let's ask Christy at Ari Bikes.
Running things in Slack saves me so much time.
AI summaries save 97 minutes per week. What say you, Rocks from Gosney?
Slack helps us build community, it helps us build connection.
Your partners, vendors and customers all in one place. Take us on home, Ashley from Caraway.
If we didn't have Slack tomorrow, I would explode.
Well, let's not let that happen. Visit slack.com/podcast to get 50% off Slack Business Plus.
Katie.
Hello.
I am really excited about what we're going to do here today. So part of the idea of this came from actually last week on the episode. You had me pull up this hilarious Pete Holmes bit about the road manager from ACDC teaching him about, God.
How to define God. Yeah.
How to define God. And I put that clip in the episode. And then I was like, you know what? Katie really has her finger on the pulse as far as comedy goes, just by being a comic yourself. And I said, send me some of your favorite bits of comedians talking about religion and God. And we'll just do like a reaction in real time. So we have, I think there's 12 or 13 clips
I know.
here.
I couldn't pick like favorites because I was just like, oh, but this comedian, I don't know if you know this comedian. This comedian is really great. And then, oh, this one. I mean,
my biggest takeaway was that you and Barb would be best friends because almost every comedian you sent me are comedians that she has made me watch because she loves watching stand-up. So I'm like, all right, yeah, no, they'd get along perfectly fine. Where do we want to start? You sent me a lot of people.
I mean, I did send you a lot of people, and I'm so sorry. And it's so funny because I'm like, oh, but then this bit was really good too. I should have sent this, and I didn't. But I would say let's start with our buddy Pete Holmes because that's how we started everything to begin with. But I think Pete Holmes is one of those touchstone comedians, especially in deconstruction of religion, because he kind of perfectly straddles that like youth pastor goofy comedy, but then also gets very real. One of the things that I really love about comedy is that it is speaking truth to power. And a lot of these clips, you might kind of see that. So let's do Pete Holmes's.
Well, I have one of the two already queued. So let's go with the one that's queued. Because turns out on StreamYard, you can't have more than 10 videos cubed.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that the other week. And I was like, oh, okay.
So let's start with the one that is already in here. Which I did, as I downloaded each one of these, I heard the opening line of each one. And I know that I've seen this on my TikTok, but this is a classic one to start with, I think. So here we go.
Makes fucking sense. Life makes no sense. You're on a planet right now. You think you're in America? Zoom out. You're on a space rock floating in nothingness, infinite nothingness, and the infinite nothingness is expanding. That means endlessness is getting bigger. That makes no fucking sense.
This bit is so good. I just want to pause it for a second just to call that out.
I know, no, I think I even mentioned in my whole description that like I love this because it's like the existential crisis that we're all like we're dealing with science and like understanding a little bit more of the universe. It's kind of where my my phrase that I say at the end of napping through happy hour every time, which is like, the universe is chaos, so please be kind. It kind of came from this bit because there's just so much that we don't know. and him boiling it down to just being like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah, it's brilliant. All right, let's keep the clip going.
We all just act like it's normal. Like, oh, everything's made of molecules. Okay. Got it. I'll never think about that again. I'm made of molecules, you're made of molecules, the air between us, it's all made of molecules. That makes no fucking sense. These molecules know they're molecules. These molecules are like, oh, I'm Pete. That doesn't make any sense.
Just incredible. And it's exactly like how I view science, where I'm like, I understand that it makes sense to a scientist. It makes no sense to me as a layman and a dumb shit idiot. But I do know that there's a lot of explanations for a lot of different things that we also attribute to religion and whatnot. That actually kind of leads me to, I did send you also a Neil deGrasse Tyson clip where that he talks about sort of this stuff, but there's another one that I wanted to send to you where he talks about the God of Gaps. And it's one of his biggest things that he talks about because he has a lot of respect for religion, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he's one of those that I love watching kind of late at night because he explains things so simply, but he also has a lot of reverence for where Christianity kind of brought us into science in the original days. And he talks about the God of Gaps being, there's a lot of stuff with religion where you have to rely on faith. And when you don't have evidence for something, that's where faith tends to intervene, where you have to believe in the nothingness. You have to believe in the like unbelievable in order to get that to like accomplish. And it's just one of those things that like when I was kind of coming out of religion and I was coming out into basically comedy, I was like, oh, right. The stuff that we don't have explanations for, we tend to make up these really ridiculous scenarios in order to fill those gaps. And we don't have any evidence-based stuff. But it's more interesting to listen to scientists, in my opinion, now, because they can explain things, especially if you can explain things that are huge ideas into like smaller incremental things that I can understand. There's this beautiful transition where I'm like, oh, now my faith is kind of relying on people who can communicate really well. And that's what I love about these comedians, these scientists, all these things.
So do we want to, based off of that, do we want to move to the second Pete clip or do we want to go to the Neil deGrasse Tyson clip?
I actually want to switch it up and let's go to the Mark Normand clip.
Okay, so I think I have.
I've got it right here if you want me to pull it up.
I got it. Here we go.
A lot of people believe in God, yet nobody believes in magic. I find that interesting. Aren't they kind of similar? You believe in magic, people call you an idiot. You're like, well, what if the whole water and the wine thing? That was kind of like magic. And they always say, yeah, but shut up. I like magic. I have way more respect for magic than I do for religion. At least magicians back it up. Can you imagine if magicians did what priests did? Besides that, yeah.
Besides that.
It'd be so much less fun. Magicians are like, all right, now to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And you're like, I don't see a rabbit. You got to believe there's a rabbit. Sorry, man, I just don't see it. Well, you're going to hell. That's religion.
He ain't wrong.
Yeah. That was one of those clips that I remember like being like, yeah, that feels right, because we don't have any like evidence. We have a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion when it comes to religion and how people explain it. And I also understand that like people have experiences that are very real to them. I enjoy the story of those experiences and what they say it did for them, as opposed to just saying, this holy deity came down.
Well, it's something that I think you and I have talked about. It's something that I think I've had conversations with a lot of people about, which is like, if there's something that's giving your life meaning and fulfillment, that is a perfectly great thing, and I will celebrate it.
Yes.
If your fulfillment means that you feel it's your job to then police and make other people's life worse, that's where I start to have an issue with all of it. And it's that I always think of something that Kyle from Horror Movie Night said once, where he was like, religion can either be this like life-changing thing where everything seems more beautiful to you, or you use it as the excuse to be an absolute terror to the world.
Right.
And it's crazy that two different people can land on two different paths on this off of the same book. Like, that's the thing that's like the most baffling about it.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I think that's why the interpretation of it is so important, and what has influenced so much of like how I've seen it, because I've seen it interpreted really poorly. But then I've also seen it interpreted really well. But one of the things that I love about comedians is calling out that gray area and calling out that sort of like distance between like, what are people saying versus what are people doing? And then on top of it, like when you're asking questions in general, who is it that's fighting back against your questions? Who is it that is telling you not to ask further questions? And I feel like that's really the key of where religion lies in terms of how I see it right now, where it's like, if I don't have the ability to question a lot of this and question, I don't know, I'll give you an example. I remember when I was doing confirmation, my best friend Rachel, who I've talked about a few times, who lives in Vegas.
Yeah.
She was also going through confirmation as well. And she was a lot more, reticent to believe in things than I was. And I remember one of the greatest things was when she had like her final panel where people were asking her like about her faith and her religion and like what she believed and what she didn't believe. She's like, I just don't think that the virgin birth was real. Like, it feels like a story. And I just can't work that out in my brain because that's not possible. And I remember hearing about that through my dad, who was like, it was really cool that she said that. But the rest of the panel was apparently very up in arms because she was like, I don't think that really is a thing. I don't think that exists. And it feels like a story, to gloss over something.
I have a similar feeling, and I know that this upset my mom when I said this to her. And it's perfect that I'm talking about it right now because this episode will be, I believe, the episode right before Easter.
Oh,
but
nice.
Like, to me, I don't really know if I buy the like Jesus coming back from the dead aspect of the Bible, but I also don't think that changes what the message of anything he had to say was.
Right.
Where I think that there is a lot of people who like, no, that's the whole point of everything is that he did that. And it's like, but is it like I feel like it's more important to focus on the like message of love before that happened. Yeah, like that to me is way more crucial than if he did or did not raise from the dead after that fact.
Right.
So,
which is where I feel like religion then enters into controlling the narrative of what actually happened or what is important to have known as what happened. That's why I'd love to bring up the Bill Burr clip, because he talks about being religious and then kind of confronting that religion while coming out to LA.
All right, here we go. Let's go to it.
You're into, but I don't know. I'm not into that religious stuff where, and this is why I actually walked away from my religion. I had to be honest with myself. One, I didn't like going to church every week, I just didn't. Part of it was I'm lazy. I don't like getting up on Sundays. And the other part was I already heard all the stories. Okay? Heard it 3-4 times. The dude hasn't come back yet. We're just sort of mulching over the same shit here. I got it. Right? And then the other aspect was, I actually I had to be honest with myself. I felt my religion made sense and everybody else's sounded stupid. I did.
So real.
But I'm not talking about the basis of every religion. The basis of every religion makes sense. The 10 Commandments, right? Don't kill anybody. Don't touch my wife. That's my bike, right? That all makes sense. But just
that
the
commandment?
Stories of how we got here and where we're going and what happens after we die. Everybody else's religion sounded stupid, Like I live out in Los Angeles. There's a bunch of Scientologists out there. And the first time I heard the story of Scientology, I was like, that is the dumbest shit I I have ever heard in my life. Like, your guy's name is Ron. Ron. And he wasn't alive thousands of years ago, so you can hide a lot of it in the mystery. This guy was alive like 45, 50 years ago. He had a driver's license. So
It is funny when you do look at it through that lens. Even like, I mean, Scientology is a I think a very large leap, but it's like even looking at Mormons, like
yeah,
you know, you're just like, oh well, that's dumb. Like that's made up dumb stuff. But this story totally
one.
Yeah.
I mean, and he even goes on. We don't have to play the entire clip because I know it is a longer one, but he even goes on and he's like, I learned about my version of, you know, religion when I was a kid, and it made sense as a kid. But also Santa made sense as a kid. And when my teeth fell out, a fairy came, and that made sense as a kid. He's like, as an adult, that's hard to stomach. That's like a really hard premise to stomach. Do you by any chance have the Taylor Tomlinson clip?
I can bring that up. Yeah. So you sent me two of them.
Let's do the non-crowd one.
The non-crowd work one. Okay, I know which one that is. So
awesome.
Here.
Yeah, this is a Netflix special, and I think we've talked about Taylor Tomlinson before, but it was late when I sent you these, and I was like, I can't remember if you knew this. But have you heard Taylor Tomlinson stuff?
But this is like Barb's like #1 comedian. So I just watched her newest special that came out on Hulu like 2 weeks ago with her.
Nice. Oh, I haven't.
But I haven't really watched any of the Netflix ones. So let's dive into this.
Religious anymore. I have had some friends find religion as adults recently, which is very upsetting. If you grew up religious and you're not anymore, and your adult friends find religion, it feels like God is your shitty ex-boyfriend who's now getting it together for your friend, and you just have to watch it happen on Facebook. They're like, have you met God? He's amazing. I'm like, yeah, I grew up with God. He's a douchebag, all right? Did he tell you were broken and you need him? That's his move. That's what he does. He says that to everybody. Don't drink what he gives you. You drink that, next thing you know, you're eating his body, the Holy Spirit's inside you. It's a whole system they have over at that frat house they call church. Who else uses Roman numerals? That joke makes it sound like I resent my religious upbringing, and I do, so I nailed it. But
one of the greatest. She's got a couple of specials on Netflix, but that's the Save Me tour. I think they bring out like an actual church pew, and they like read through audience members like sort of confessions on the church pew. It's really good. She's phenomenal. She speaks really eloquently about struggling with herself. She has bipolar, and she speaks really well about that experience while growing up religious and also having an interesting dad. But it's one of the things I absolutely love about Taylor Tomlinson is just how sweet she is with her past and B, with people.
Yeah.
And that's why I also brought the crowd work clip that she did.
All right. Let's go to that one real quick.
Yeah.
as an adult? Interesting.
He just asked if anybody was a Christian as an adult, and someone said it's not easy.
It's just like high level of difficulty. Finding faith as a grown-up. How long have you been a Christian? A year. Oh, you're like brand new. It's your anniversary. You don't remember? You don't remember like the day? Usually adult Christians remember the day because they like had a meltdown. No? What? You like the music? Nobody has ever become a Christian because of the music, just so you know. That has never, ever happened. Nobody's ever been like, why did you decide to dedicate your life to Jesus Christ? And they were like, have you heard Stephen Curtis Chapman? Because that guy rocks.
It's a nice deep cut reference too. I like that because
Exactly.
You
so
got to be in the know to know
as an
Stephen
adult?
Curtis.
Sorry.
You got to be in the know to know Stephen Curtis Chapman.
You really do. So you know that she would be an excellent candidate for Christian Cringe.
Yeah, listen, we will reach out and maybe we'll talk about Stephen Curtis Chapman because I remember there was like 1 or 2 bops, but not that many.
There
Like I
weren't that
remember
many.
Dive. Dive was good. That like I'm diving in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, everybody played that in like their pre-service, like
Yeah,
youth group warm-up.
exactly. It was a listen. That one was a good bop. I will give him that much. But I don't know, becoming a
Right.
Christian just for that tune, I don't think so.
No, exactly. Exactly. No, and it's so fun when she does examples like that. And you're just like, oh yeah, you really did. You were part of it.
So where do we want to go next from here?
So, just to like keep the mood a little bit lighter, because I do love female comics and how light they tend to keep, especially religion. Fortune Feimster is one of those that, if you don't know her, you've probably seen her in comedies. I knew her from the Groundlings because when I was starting out at the Groundlings, I was like a sophomore in college or something like that, or sophomore or junior in college. And she was one of the house team players, and she was very sweet and very kind. And she was like, encouraging everyone, go see shows, go do things. But one of the things I love about Fortune Feimster is that she's very relatable, and she talks a lot about like her Southern upbringing. And let's do the I come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
From Methodist, which is considered Christian light. Yeah, just a little dabble do it. Just a little bit of Jesus. That's all you need. And all that we cared about was that the preacher was done with the sermon by noon so that we could beat the Baptists to the Chili's. It'd be 11:55, and if the preacher was still yammering on, you could hear the choir slowly start singing, "Baby back ribs, how sweet the sauce." We're like, "Preacher, wrap it up."
That is so the thing that's so funny about that to me is that, as we've talked about in here, I do work at a church. I work at a Methodist church.
That's why I pulled that clip. Yeah.
And the amount of times that we will, after the service, be like, "Pastor, you went 26 minutes on that sermon. Do you know how big of an ask that is?" like it's.
Does he ever be like, "Matthew Kelly, you run a podcast network"?
Listen, sometimes it's the other pastors say, like, it becomes a joke of like who is, and then the reality is this. If you're a pastor, just sending this out into the ether, off chance that there's like a youth pastor listening to this or whatever.
Hopefully.
Unless you're really cooking, you don't need to go more than 20 minutes. like unless you are like the people are like this,
Right.
so enticed, you're losing them every second that you go past about the 15-16 minute mark, and you got to start wrapping it up.
Well, I mean, and that's also the interesting thing about pastors and preachers is that there's an entertainment element to it. And unless there's like a lot of either pomp and circumstance or like a really great message, or it's really well written, or I don't know, you've got slides, then, people tend to tune out unless you're engaging. And I feel like that's one of the things that we've been exploring is how Christianity tried to be more engaging in the late 90s, early 2000s.
100%. Well, so something that I think is really funny is I found out that the pastor at my church and his like best friend from seminary have a Monday Zoom call that they do every Monday where they send each other the videos of their sermon and give each other notes on what was working and what wasn't working. And he was like, I feel like I could turn that into a podcast where different preachers could send us their sermons, and the two of us could give them notes on what worked and what didn't work in their sermon. And I was like, I would produce the shit out of that podcast because
Yeah,
I think that's a
you
really
would.
cool idea. Like
I
that's
just
a really
I just
cool
fear for
idea.
your schedule because it's already so packed.
Listen, I will tell you this much. I won't get into the details just yet,
Okay.
but hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying here.
Okay.
I did send an email this week to two good friends of ours who had a very funny podcast that they stopped doing in the last year, pitching them an idea that you and I had come up with during a what won this week, and they are into it.
Are they? Because I reached out to them on Instagram and I didn't hear anything back, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, I went straight to the source. I shot an email.
Smart.
And I
That's
sent an
very
email
smart.
to every email address that I had on file for them.
I am so excited.
I'm
so excited.
One of them is moving in June, so it may be
Oh.
after the move.
And
But
they've got big families, so yeah.
So,
that makes
but
sense.
yes, I will keep. Listen, if I think the idea is good enough, I'll keep taking on stuff on the schedule because you never know.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
It is mind-blowing
and heartbreaking
how many original scripts are written every year but are never made.
So we seek out these scripts and bring them to life with full audio production and professional actors.
Check us out at Undiscovered Scripts,
Movies made of paper.
wherever you get your podcasts.
Free.
But do we want to stick with Fortune? You sent me a second Fortune video, or do we want to jump somewhere else?
That one, you know what? We don't have to do that one. That one is just like she does. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do that one. Yeah. This feels like the most realistic thing. But this clip, she brought her mom to a show and basically had like she does a lot of bits on social media with her mom. Like she took her mom to Wicked and she was like gauging her reaction. It's very funny. She's taken her mom on cruises and stuff. It's wonderful, their relationship. But Fortune is a very tall, very large lesbian, and growing up she was like in a very religious household. But this is a really great clip of them kind of calling her out growing up.
Okay.
I'd like to say one thing. Fortune did not learn her bad words from me.
Oh, bull crap! You used to cuss like a sailor back in the day.
Did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yes, you did. Oh my! This is like another. I have never been to Hooters.
No, it is not.
Yes, Price. Where's my brother, Price? Did mommy used to have a potty mouth?
I'm not believing this.
Yes.
Oh, I'm shocked.
Back in the day, before you dated the Christian, you had a potty mouth.
Oh, I have never.
That is very cute.
I know it's just like a very cute, like relatable clip where it's just like there's sort of that dichotomy, especially in religious households, where either they turn more religious or whatever, but like the denying of humanity feels like an ingrained kind of thing of like keeping up appearances of being Christian. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about Fortune and her relationship to her mom. So I highly recommend any listener go check her out. Fortune, just as you think it, and then Feimster, Feimster.
Well,
she's great.
I want to ask you a question off of that because I'm curious. With your family, whether it's mother or father, did you have a parent that either never cursed or rarely cursed to the level that when they did, it was always like borderline hilarious because it was so dramatically out of character?
Yes, that would be my father. He very rarely cusses, even now. And when he does, it's jarring.
Yeah.
Because he was very much the proper presentation type of person. Like,
Yeah.
people see you a certain way, so you need to behave a certain way. I wasn't allowed to say sucks as a kid. I wasn't allowed to. My mom said it all.
Yeah. For me, it's the opposite. My dad,
Interesting.
mouth like a sailor. For my 12th birthday party, we had a sleepover, like a sleepover movie night, and my dad volunteered to take care of the entertainment for that night and rented us Porkies because
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's like, they're 12, they gotta learn. Like, it's
I'm obsessed with this.
Like, it was so crazy. But my mom, it's like, that Donna Kelly is pissed if something worse than ass comes out of her mouth. You're just like, oh no, she's really angry when fuck comes out of her mouth. Oh,
Dude.
somebody has wronged her or someone she loves, and she will not. We used to joke around. Are you a big that 70s show fan?
I never really watched it.
Okay. We used to say that she reminded us of Kitty from that show.
Yeah,
Because
I
Kitty
understand.
is so quick to the defense. And one of the lines that I always think of is there's an episode early on, I want to say it's season 2 or 3, where Eric Foreman, the main character, his girlfriend Donna thinks that she might be pregnant. And she says to him, well, don't tell anybody until we know. And then it immediately cuts to inside the kitchen. And he runs into his mom and goes, Mommy, I think I made Donna pregnant. And she just immediately goes, did she trick you? Because we'll move. We won't play her games.
That's a good bit.
And that is my mom to a T. My mom is the sweetest, kindest person.
But she will go to the ends.
I got pulled over for speeding recently, which I have not gotten pulled over in 15 years.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, you speeding? Because everyone makes fun of how I drive like a grandparent. It was a total speed trap. It was it went from 65 to 50 immediately in small town, and I got pulled over for going 63.
Okay.
But he's like, I'll cut you a deal. I'll say you were only going 5 miles over the speed limit, which was still $190 ticket for going 5 miles over the speed limit. And when I put that in the family chat, everyone was just like, oh man, that sucks. I'm really sorry. And then my mom was like, this is fucking bullshit. She was the rage, the 0 to 100 rage was something to behold.
Oh, I love it. She's protected her baby boy. I do love that element though.
All right, let's say we do one more. What is the last one if you want it to end on here?
Okay. I just for the listener, I had Maria Bamford, I had Aparna Nancherla, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'd say let's get rid of those and let's go for Gianmarco Soresi. So Gianmarco is, oh my god, this guy. I what did I write? I wrote in the email. I'm sure you've seen some of his stuff floating around, but he's one of the most prolific and ironic comics. He soft shoes on the line of going too far, and this is one of my favorite bits he did on a podcast once.
Okay, so this is the podcast one.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I don't like how casually people feel comfortable bringing astrology into conversations because it forces me in a place where I have to either start faking who I am and disrespect my own true feelings about a thing, or somehow come off as the craziest person in the entire world, ruining what was a lighthearted comment. Yeah. Astrology needs to be treated the way that we do religion. If I go to a yoga class and the teacher came up and said, what did everyone thank Jesus for today? That would be strange. Yeah. I think people would complain. But yet the teacher can come in my yoga class and go, we got Tauruses here. Did you see that this morning? And I have you either bring religion into everything and we all get to confront how we feel about everyone's religion, start every spin class with an Allahu Akbar, or we don't.
Yeah.
Or we don't. Because for me, I'm like, what is this conversation? You might as well walk in and say, so did you see there's 3 stones in the lawn this morning?
Yeah.
Someone's getting fucked tonight. Like to me, that is as meaningful of a statement as this to that. It's 3 stones in different places.
There's so much to unpack in that like little bit there, but like he's not wrong. Like the way that everybody talks about their own religion beyond sometimes it just being rude, like just flat out rude. It comes with this assumption of everybody understands what I'm talking about. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone grew up like this. And like, no, they did it.
No. And I think that's what's so great about like talking through our childhoods, going from like the late 90s to the early 2000s. Like, I know that we weren't necessarily like children. I mean, I was, but you know, but like the context of it helps understand like why we think certain ways about stuff. But like, I love how he basically puts religion on blast via astrology, which is all something that like, if you're not in LA, is not something that you're probably hearing a lot of the time.
I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore. And maybe it's just like hanging out with the circle of people that I hang out with, but like, I feel like no matter where someone that I'm friends with lives, at least when it comes to Facebook or Instagram stories, there's always like some type of like, oh, it's Aries season, or like, oh, never date a Taurus, or like, like there are still, I've gone on dates in my past where people would be like, so what's your zodiac sign? Because if we weren't a match on the zodiac, they were not interested.
Right.
Now, luckily for me, I'm a Libra, which I guess in the grand scheme of zodiac is like the most neutral position
that makes sense
that you could have. It's like everyone's just like, oh, it's fine. That's like there's no one that has like bad blood apparently with Libra from what I can tell, but like I don't know. Astrology is like both infuriating and fascinating simultaneously. It's a really bizarre thing because it's like a magic trick. Right? It's like, how do you talk about something in the most vague way that it still feels personalized and pointed? Like
Matthew Kelly. This is how I bring it back to Bill Burr. Saying that's a stupid religion, you know? Like it doesn't make sense when you look at it from an outside perspective and you're like, God, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And that's how I always felt about astrology too, especially when I came out to LA and I was just like, wow, people are really into this. Like even when I met Mark, I had friends who were just like, okay, but what's his sign? Like, is this going to be okay? Is this going to last forever or whatever? And luckily, I guess our signs are like either really good or really bad, but I guess ours is because of like our rising moons or whatever. It's really good.
Once you add in anything beyond I was born on this day and that makes me blank, like I've had people ask me like, well, what is your full zodiac with like rising I'm like, I don't even know where to begin to find that information. Like you want to give me something useful, and I just saw this the other day. Hold on a second. Barb early on when we first started talking sent me a test that she wanted me to take, but it was a test that like you answered like 100 questions and it would tell you what your preferred love language style was. And it was like, do you prefer making time for each other? Do you prefer like, but I was like, that's at least useful information to have.
Right.
Like,
well, and that's where kind of the pseudopsychology came into religion too. Like the like acts of kindness or whatever, or that kind of stuff. Is that what it is?
Something like that. And then I remember in therapy, they had me take the 16 personalities test. Have you ever taken the 16 personalities test?
Is it the Myers-Briggs? Is it
I think it's Myers-Briggs.
So many.
Where you end up with like a
code.
ENFJ-T, like,
Yeah,
I
no,
was a
yeah.
protagonist. That was my personality type.
Protagonist. Ooh, I
Yeah,
love it.
I'm looking at it right now. Protagonists are inspiring optimists, ready to take action for what they feel is right. And then it had a breakdown of like my energy is 54% extrovert, 46% introvert. I think that is perfectly locked in.
Yeah, yeah.
My mind was 66% intuitive, 34% observant.
Feeling. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Uh no, this was my nature is 81% feeling, 19% thinking.
Yep.
Again,
Mhm.
like I'm like they nailed it on this. My tactics are 74% judging and 26% uh prospecting. Judging individuals are decisive, thorough, and highly organized. They value clarity, predictability, and closure, and prefer structure versus planning on spontaneity.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this test kind of nailed. Like my therapist was like, I want you to just take this. I
Mhm.
forget what it was, but he had me take it when I first started my sessions with him. And then I took it again when we were finishing our sessions after years.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
changed. Like it
Oh.
changed entirely. And it was like to show, like, look at how much you've grown now that you're not just a giant pile of anxiousness.
Anxious
Like,
energy
yeah.
that's just like strafing off. Yeah, no, and that's one of the things. So we had to when we went to college, my Christian college, we had to take what's called the Strengths Finder test, and it's very similar to the Myers Briggs, but it's got like different qualities that are like, what are your top 5 strengths type of thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to take this test, and I ended up with like strategic and which means that like I like to see the process ahead of time. Like I like to I like to break things down. Like I was probably like breaking apart my radio and like looking how it worked on the inside type of thing. I had relation, which was like I can relate to people. I understand people more better by relating to people. I remember I had to take this test, and then I had to write a whole like I don't know what I felt about it type of essay. And I was like, I found it interesting, and I found it, eye-opening in certain respects. But I was like, but I feel like if I took this 10 minutes later, it might be something different. And that is kind of what it is, because we are ever evolving human beings, and all of our experiences change who we are. So it's always nice to get those kind of touchstone Myers-Briggs or Strengths Finders, or there's like the numbers one where it's like, oh, I'm a 7, oh, I'm a 12, or whatever, I think it just helps us touchstone define where we are at that moment to help us better understand maybe the trajectory of the future. I don't always,
100%.
I don't always adhere to like, it should be your entire personality is
Well,
identifying with these
100%.
things.
But like one of the things that I love about like, especially the results on that particular Myers-Briggs or whatever the test was, the 16 personalities test or whatever,
Yeah.
was that there was this constant debate that I was having with all of my friends.
Yeah.
Where I saw myself as introverted, they saw myself as extroverted. And to like have that test reveal that it's almost completely split down the middle with a little bit of overlap. And the reason why them and probably also you being my friend are like, of course you're extroverted. Like you're at a convention, you're shaking hands with people, you're blah, 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 blah. But it's like, you also know how I am the second that the floor closes at Comic-Con and I need to like fully just disconnect and recharge. Where to me, like a true extrovert is like 24/7 out there making noise. Like,
and there were several times that I took the Myers-Briggs and I got an X on the E versus I, because I do derive a lot of energy from being by myself and not being spoken to and not being looked at, and but I'd still like, I'm doing a podcast like every day. I'm like live streaming all the time.
Stand-up comedy, like you're putting yourself out there on a stage. But just, I guess the point is, just because someone is a public facing person does not necessarily mean that they are definitively an extrovert.
Not at all. Not at all. And it's so funny to me too, because everyone who meets Mark is like, oh yeah, he's an extrovert. He's very friendly. He's very outgoing. He has his opinions and he sticks by them. But it's so funny to me. I said to my sister-in-law, I was like, oh yeah, but he's a solid introvert. Like he's a full-on I on the Myers-Briggs. And she's like, what? And I was like, no, if he is around too many people for more than like an hour or two, he's got to shut down. He needs his time.
Well, and that's the thing. I think also even on the Barb side of things, Barb has seen me more in my element than not in my element, right? Like she's seen me at parties where I know everybody that's there.
Yes.
She's seen me like doing merch at a concert where I'm
Convention.
friends with every member of the band, and almost every person who comes to the table is also a listener of one of the podcasts. So they're talking to me about that. Like, but if you toss me into like, hey, we're going to go to this gala, you're going to know one person there, I am going to sit at a table until someone talks to me first. like that I think is the big difference. I think an extrovert can start the conversation. And I see her side of it too, though, where we'll go to a restaurant and I'll get into a conversation with somebody in the waiting room. If there is an engagement, I will continue with said engagement without hesitation. This was fun. I'm sure that you're going to find more and more comedy bits. We should do a ton of these. I think these are really,
I'd
really
be down. No, and I'm really glad because I was struggling this week. I was like, what can I was like, I still haven't gotten any further with the Testament.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying for that. I'm still trying to figure out some info. That thing is still wild to me.
But yeah, like I was like, this was something that literally came to me last night as we were texting, and I was like,
I'm so glad
this
it
is
did.
such an easy peasy thing. Reacting to things is always easy for us.
It's true. It's true.
Well, Katie, we're going to be going to the other thing that I think is a big comfort zone for us, which is talking about music, and specifically talking about one of our mutually favorite bands of all time. So stay tuned, everybody, for that.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.